Well, welcome everybody to the Tuesday Live. I bet you didn't think it was going to happen this week, but if it's worth doing, it's worth working hard for, right, John?
Why would somebody think we weren't going to do this?
I've had a lot of people saying, "We know you're taking today off, Nicole." I was like, "No, I'm doing a live stream today. I'm shipping coffee today. I got home at 9 o'clock last night from SRF. We're going to do this."
That's right. I still have people here now.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, today's Tuesday Live has a surprise guest, Evan Dixon from Radio Made Easy. We've got Jason Sparks from KY Sustainable Living. I'm Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee. We've got John Willis from Special Operations Equipment. You want to start with the debrief? What'd you guys think with SRF?
Yeah. I thought it ran the smoothest out of all of them. I think I don't want to say the caliber of attendees was different, but the energy of the attendees was different. I mean, everybody I spoke to, there was value in every conversation that we had. I didn't find myself going, "Hey, have you met this guy?" and then walking away from people. I don't think I did that this time.
That's good. What about you, Evan? What'd you think?
I loved it. I had a similar experience where it just lots of good people, and the first time I've run a class, that was a blast. The biggest class I've ever done, and just full of awesome people, like not even one dud, which is saying a lot. So I loved it.
Tag, what's up, man? I see you on here.
Yeah, we should get Tag on here too. I'm going to mute you two when I'm talking because there's an echo. I'm just going to ask people right now. If you don't hear an echo, then I know where it's coming from. Jason, what did you think of the event?
It was good. I think, like John said, it was by far the best one that's been, and they keep getting better, and it seems like more people are there. And everybody I talked to, I was interested in what they had to say. Met a lot of new people, and we were just talking about that. Met a lot of new people, got some new friends. Jeremy Kirby lives 15 minutes away from me, and I never knew who he was, and we hooked up with him. And I was like, "This is cool." I was like, "You're going to come over to the house one day and hang out with me." So, but it was good. The vendors, there's a lot of good vendors. So that's for sure. There's a lot more vendors than last time. And it was a good mix of vendors. It had something for everybody, it seemed like.
I hear a clicking sound.
Do you have a pen in your hand, Jason?
No.
I hear like I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't hear it. Yeah, Jeremy Kirby's been around our group for years, man. He's we see him pretty frequently.
So yeah, and Don, I met Don and his wife too. They're awesome.
Yeah, Don's a cool dude. It was good. What's fun about this is this was our 6th one. They do get better every time because we learn something new at everyone, and it's just sort of the momentum of the event. We did have a very different energy this time, like a lot more stories of people who've been to previous ones and changed their lives. And that was pretty cool too. So, I don't know. I think that just sets the foundation for future success. And I think that's why we had more vendors too. They started hearing about it this time. So.
Oh yeah. And Jose, the funny thing, we went to eat with Jose and his wife, and Jose, do not go eat with him unless you've got like an extra hour. It took him 30 minutes to decide what he wanted to eat. And I'm like, "Jose, order something. We've got to go." So we need to kid him about that.
Yeah, he eats no problem.
Yeah, having a lot of vendors helps because it gives you some distraction from all the festivities. You can go kind of enjoy yourself, take a walk. There were so many. You guys, I think I heard there were over 40. That was incredible.
Yeah, when I go to a prepper trade show, especially, I don't even sit and listen to any of the presentations. I do the big circle of what's here, and I only have this much money to spend. Where am I going to spend it? And then I do the second walk and kind of do the elimination, and then decide what I'm going to buy. But I usually don't even sit or until this event, until ours, I've never even sat and listened to a presentation at any of these.
Oh yeah. And John, I do the same thing. one of my friends asked me when I got back, they're like, how was Joel's presentation? I was like, I don't really know. I was like, I was talking to other people, and they're like, you didn't sit down and do that? I was like, I did not watch any presentation. I was talking to people the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah, it was funny. This time we rented chairs, and the reason I did that is they take up less space than camping chairs, so we could fit more people under the tent. Tactical said it looked like there were fewer people under the tent. I'm like, there were more people under the tent. They just weren't as spread out, which worked in our favor when Joel Salatin talked.
Yep.
And I liked it where you had the two teams and everything set up was real nice, and it kind of split everybody up just a little bit.
Yep. Okay. So Jason, tell us about how you started Kentucky Sustainable Living.
We started Kentucky Sustainable Living about 3 years ago. We kind of saw the need. Me and a couple of my buddies saw the need for it, and we're like, we need to kind of unify, some of the people in Kentucky, and get a community going here. So we kind of started it, did a little bit of word of mouth, some of our friends, stuff like that, and we're like, we need to go a little bit bigger. So we just did a Facebook group, and then the Facebook group just started growing organically. So there's 11 or 1,200 members on the Facebook page, and we've got a smaller group within that group of members that we know personally. We've met in person. They're invited to our smaller events that we have at our house. Like, we'll do a pig processing, and all that group, I'll announce it to the group. It's like, hey, Saturday morning we're killing pigs. You're invited to come learn, do all this stuff. Everything from doing processing classes to doing a convoy class that one of our guys put on for us, to planting a food forest, anything like that. So that's how it's grown. And now we've got people from Indiana, Ohio, Tennessee. So we've got all those people that joined up with us too. And it came out of the need to have that community built of like-minded members that you can count on. And with that, I've got a handful of people that I could call whenever I needed, and they would be here, or I would be at their place to help them.
Have you identified your federal agents yet?
Actually, it's funny. There was one that wants to be, and I found out he was a federal agent, and I'm holding him at arm's length, and he's not in yet. So,
Told you. He like, hey, this is my job.
Yeah, he told me flat out he was an ATF agent.
Yeah, I said that as a joke, but yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, okay, we'll keep you at arm's length for right now.
Yeah.
So, but he seems like a nice guy, but they're still an ATF agent. So
he's gonna seem like a nice guy when he's working the case.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, we built that, and just like the core members of the group, like Shelly with Two Old Crows Homestead, she was at Back to the Land Festival a couple weeks ago, and I was going to go down on Saturday. She texted me Friday night. She was like, hey, my pigs are out. And I sent her a text back. I'm like, if you need me to go get them up, tell me now, not at 10 o'clock at night. I was like, I'm more than happy to go and do it. Just tell me if you need me to. And she would do the same thing for me.
Yeah, something that we started doing here is the Kentucky Sustainable Living. No, the Homesteader Alliance group meetup. As a result of that, I had people filling in to take care of my animals better this time. So I came home to a clean house. Animals were all taken care of. We ended up having to Tactical had to stay away an extra day, and it all worked out.
Yeah. And it's finding those people that are going to help you, that you can call and rely on in good times, and if anything ever goes down.
That's always my excuse. I can't leave here because I have a farm, which is true.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you want to leave here, you can't leave here because you have a farm.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the big obstacles to people getting started, is having somebody that can take care of things if you want to be mobile.
Oh yeah, I took care of most everything before I left, and my wife could handle feeding the animals and doing stuff like that while I was gone down at y'all's place. And luckily, with our festival, we're going to have 10 minutes down the road, and I'll be home every night, so I can take care of everything.
We're going to come out to that.
All right. Good deal. It's going to be good. I messed with Pierre. I was talking to him and telling him about it, and I had a little flyer, and I gave it to him. He was looking at it, and I said, Pierre, if you come up, I will let you in for free, man. And he's like, dude, you don't have to do that. I was like, no. I said, it'll be my treat. You can come for free. And he's like, okay. And he looked down at the bottom, and he was like, hell, he said, everybody gets to come for free.
So Jason, tell us about the festival.
We've got our festival coming up. It's going to be October 28th and 29th in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's at the Ag Expo Center. Everything's inside. The 27th, Chuck Peoples is doing a full day homestead medical class. And then Eric from Porterhouse and Teal is teaching a full day guild planning class. Chuck's class, there's no death by PowerPoint. I've been through his 2-day class. It literally took me longer to set the TV up and get the PowerPoint ready for him to do the PowerPoint that he's going to do. Chuck's class is all hands-on. Eric's class, we're planning on the morning time talking about soil and going over kind of the class stuff. And then after that, we're going to go out and actually plant a tree guild at the place. So we got that. The event's free to get into on Saturday and Sunday. We've got right now 40-ish vendors that'll be there. Everything from freeze-dried food to we got a company coming. They're going to have a hoop house set up in the arena. So you'll get to actually look at that hoop house, touch it and see what it's made about, talk to the owners of the company. We got a storm shelter company coming in. Bobcat of Bowling Green will be there with construction equipment, soaps, knives, pretty much anything you would want. If there's something there that doesn't appeal to you at the festival, there's probably something wrong with you. So,
yeah, if we can work it out, a deal with your hoop house guy, we're going to drive a tractor through this one that's here. We're going to drive over this one and replace it.
It's Nifty Hoops. They're a mom and pop company out of Michigan.
Good.
He seemed like a real nice guy. The way I got hooked up with him, I saw it came as an advertisement on Facebook. You know how they target market you. I sent the guy an email, and he called me later, and I started talking to him. He's like, yeah, we would love to come down for that. And I'm like, let's get you up. But yeah, he'll have a 16 by 20 set up in there where you can look at it and everything, which I think is going to be awesome.
Well, if he can do a 16 by 20, he can do a 16 by 100.
Yeah. Oh, he offers tons of different stuff. And he told me pretty much whatever size you want to, he can do for you.
Jason, you got to tell your Bobcat guy story.
Oh, Bobcat is one of our sponsors. And I was talking to him, and the guy told me, he was like, so if I sponsor you for this level, John Deere and Kubota will not be there. And I was like, yes, I promise you. I said, you'll be the only tractor guy there. And he was like, cool. So they're bringing 4 big pieces of equipment. And I told him, I'm like, hey, by the way, I've got a Kubota tractor, and we're doing a pig processing, and I'm going to have to use my tractor to hoist the pig up and down. Without missing a beat, he goes, what size tractor do you need? And I was like, maybe like a 33 horse. He goes, cool. He said, I'm going to bring you a brand new tractor to use. He said, keep that orange shit at home. I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So
we'd be willing to switch to white.
Oh yeah. I would switch to white too if I got a heck of a deal on it.
Yeah.
So, but I do personally, I like Kubota, and my Kubota tractor, I love it. And I've got an older case skid loader, all pre-emissions that I've had for years, and it keeps going. It starts up whenever I need it to, and I don't have to worry about all the emissions.
Yep. That's how the old John Deere is out here, man. It can be covered in ice, and it starts up every time.
Yeah. So I drove up. My buddy has got the next biggest size Kubota, the one up from yours, and
he has a 95 then.
Yeah, and he just bought it, and I went to borrow his auger. And he's like, my loader's sitting over there. Just use it to load that auger up. It has like 100 hours on it. I mean, it's still clean inside. I got in it, and I was like, this is awesome. And I got kind of jealous for a minute.
Yep, it's the best heating and air on the property, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's amazing what that thing will do. I was like, I would like to use this for 2 or 3 hours at my place. So I want a mini excavator. If I buy anything else, I'll buy a mini excavator.
That's all you need. Skid steer and a mini excavator. You can do everything. Yeah, it'll do the
Yeah.
work of 10 dudes.
Oh yeah.
And you can do it all by yourself at 2:00 on a Sunday afternoon.
Yep. I almost, several years ago when I was still doing concrete, I almost bought a mini excavator, but then I was like, I've got to do more footings to do it, and I hated doing footing work. So I was
That's why the big trailer out there by Joel Riles. We literally bought that just to move an excavator and a skid steer, because I mean, you can do $2,000 on a Saturday with those two pieces of equipment. If things ever change and you need to make money, you're just not trying to make money if you have that equipment.
Oh yeah. I stay so busy with my business. I've got landscape guys with my small 26 horse tractor, and I've got a front loader on it, a box blade, and a tiller. And they try to get me to put yards in for people all the time. And I'm like, I just don't have the physical time to do it. I would like to, but it's just like I don't have time to do it. So, but yeah, you can't. Well, Chase, Chuck's son, has been renting a Bobcat and making some extra money on doing that.
Yeah, he just bought it.
Oh, did he buy one?
Paid cash.
Wow. I know he's been renting one and making money on the side doing it.
They sold him the one he's been renting. It's a really cool story to hear that. He's been hustling.
Wow. Yeah, but I mean, if you got a skill like that, people are always going to need equipment ran. And if you got a piece of equipment, you can make some killer money just on a Saturday doing stuff.
That's how the Diesel brothers started. They rented a Mini X.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and when we were doing concrete all the time, I would be at somebody's house, and it was always the neighbor would come over, and they're like, "Hey, can you level out this little spot in my yard or something?" And I'm like, "Sure, $100 an hour. You've got no transportation cost. You literally drive across the street, and it's almost free money right there." And we would do that almost every time in the subdivision, make $200 or $300 extra for an hour of work.
Yeah, it's all free money, or you're not charging enough.
Yeah. So, well, it's even better when you don't have that transportation cost except for driving across the road.
And it happens to be the most fun you can have with your clothes on.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, people are like, every time a little kid's here, we always put them in a skid steer or something. Like running that equipment, people are like, "Can I run that equipment?" I'm like, "Yeah, you played Atari. Of course, yeah, you've played a video game. Of course you can run it."
Yep.
Oh yeah.
There's a 14-year-old kid did all of the skid steer stuff here. Smoothed out all the gravel, filled all the potholes, did everything on Friday before we opened up.
He's not your average 14-year-old.
So for the live stream bingo card players, we need to add a box that says words we didn't expect to come up. And the word this one is the word Atari. Didn't think that was going to come out of anybody's mouth today. Jose's in the room.
Hey, Jose. Yeah, I've got going back talking about the equipment. My 8-year-old drives that Kubota, and I'll get him. I'm like, go put a bale of hay out, and he'll back into the bale of hay, lift it up, and take it out there. And I'm like, drop it right here. And he thinks it's the greatest thing in the world now. He feeds
because it is.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. He wants to drive the Bobcat, and I'm like, we'll let you drive it pretty soon. And he's like, okay, that works.
How much property are you on?
We've just got 8 acres.
Just 8. That's awesome, man.
And then we just picked up another 4 acres or so of free ground to run the animals on. And the neighbor's like, yeah, run your animals out on it. So I put up temporary electric fence, and that's where we got all the animals right now, is running on it. And he's got about another 6 that if this works out, he's going to let me run the animals on it. And all it cost was the T-post and electric line to put temp fence up.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Joel Salatin and I walked all the property yesterday and talked about everything. And he's like, yeah, this little spot of grass right here, you could probably put 400 poultry right here, drag them out. And I'm like, man, I've been working hard to amplify this grass and make this bigger. And he's like, this little patch of grass right here.
How was that walkabout, John?
It was awesome. He didn't really talk about it. He showed me a lot, but when we stopped, after talking for quite a while about other stuff, I said, okay, so what makes you cringe out here? Like, what gets your hackles up? He kind of started telling me, I'm like, look, just hurt my feelings. Take the kid gloves off. And he went in, man, he had it ready to go. So I moved 10 buckets, 10 front end loader, wood mulch this morning into the top coop. So we'll bring those up. And we do. I didn't want to be like, yeah, we do this. We do that twice a year. We bring it up 20 inches of mulch in all the coops. He just saw it at the apps. Anybody comes here for SRF, you are seeing the property at the absolute worst times. Everything is dead here at that time.
Yeah, and you've had lots of time in advance of the event to get things looking spiffy, right?
Yep. But we don't, man. We work for real work.
Oh yeah, I've been trying to get, because we got a bunch of people coming to my place right before the festival, and I'm like, I've got to get everything cleaned up, looking a little nice, and I'm hustling to get all that stuff done. And between my job and everything else, I'm like, it's just going to be what it is. If it's not looking 100% nice, forget it. It's everybody's place has got, you got that one little spot on your property that's real trashy, and that's kind of where you throw a bunch of stuff. I was like, I'm not cleaning that up. I'll just put a tarp over it and say the hell with it.
Man, we'd spend 6 weeks running up to a major trade show, working, till midnight every night, getting this thing done, these new things ready to go and have inventory. And not a single time did we take them to a show where anybody gave a shit about it. They wanted to think whatever it was we didn't have, that's what they were asking about. So we just we move it out, make space, and then we bring it back, and we just keep running, man. Like what you see here is what's really here on a normal day.
Yeah.
We don't have to trick no one.
Oh yeah. And that's the way it is. I've talked to people before, and they went out to visit people's farms, these big YouTube people that have this permaculture and regenerative farm.
All bullshit.
They show you that one slice of the pie that's all pretty and nice.
Yep.
And the rest of it looks like a feed meal all the time.
Yep. That's why if you watch any of the videos, Day on the Compound, it's me running all over the place with a GoPro. We don't slice any of that out. Like, nobody's going to come here and think there was something here or it's different. That's exactly how it is. And everything out there is poop. Like, you're not going to walk anywhere where you're not going to be in poop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was amused. There was a table near your factory with rabbit poop on it.
Yeah.
And I walk up, I'm like, is that rabbit poop? And one of your employees like, yeah, it's that white rabbit. I'm like, oh yeah, that white rabbit that's just like randomly running around because it got out. Gotcha.
We have a white rabbit that has shown. It's not one of my rabbits. It showed up here. It is bigger than all the cats. There's 7 cats. There's a white rabbit and there's a possum, and they all huddle up and sleep together. They all eat cat food. That thing, it's the best genetic rabbit that I've ever seen, and it's just lives with the cats out front. It'd be too sad I would hate to take that thing. I don't even know where it came from and lock it in a cage. He knows his freedom, so we just let him go.
And I guess you can't just let your rabbits run around with the dogs.
No.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Jason.
Rabbit poop was the major conversation at my booth since the table is in my area. That's Jason.
Where'd you bring this rabbit poop from? What do we do for moonshine with rabbit poop?
How much is it?
Rabbit poop moonshine.
I mean, that's a good homestead drug deal, buying rabbit poop in the parking lot for your garden.
They're out here. They're out here taking. They just took the tents down.
Are all my chairs with the rental guy, or are some still in your garage?
Oh, I don't have a clue. I don't even know.
Oh,
what
boy.
are your chairs?
All the white chairs I rented, and they were borrowing them for their class yesterday in your garage. And I said I needed them back today when Eric came for the rental stuff.
I have no idea.
I'll deal with it. I'll just say,
Evan will go find out right now.
I mean, they can always drop them off at Jackson on their way back. They just have to go south of you.
How's the patrol class going, John?
Seems awesome, man. I kicked them out at 9 last night. I'm like, you don't got to leave, but you got to leave here. So they were running last night. They're running right now. It seems awesome, man.
Cool. So yeah, Andrew's hit me up and he asked me if we could come and do one at my place, and I'm like, yeah. I was like, we'll get enough people and do it. And he seemed game to come up and do one here.
Yeah, it seems legit, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Joel Salatin's Uber driver was pulling up in an Escalade or something. Here comes 12 dudes with rifles. Joel just started laughing. He started laughing about it. He's like, I told him you were like apocalypse preppers.
It was the first time we'd seen that all day. Like we'd been on compound all day. All of a sudden, all these dudes with rifles come out doing a drill, and I'm like, "Yep, of course that's when somebody drives up." I think it was perfect. That was one of the high points of my day yesterday. Was that moment.
A lot of these guys have range classes, but they've not done any just basic maneuvering and patrolling stuff. So just putting that basic infantry stuff.
Yeah. We had a guy that he helps train special forces up at Fort Campbell, Fort Knox is where he's at, and he came down and did a convoy class for us, and we played with the Hot Wheels on the table, and he showed us how to do all that, and then we went out and took a convoy to my uncle's farm, and he set up a scenario, and he's like, your lead person that's on a motorcycle has been injured, and she radioed back that she's injured and she's at this place. And he said, your objective is to roll in, take care of her, triage her, make sure everything's okay, get her, and then get out. So we pull up on the thing. He started throwing smokes at us. I mean, there's smokes going off everywhere. And then he started shooting sim rounds at us. We didn't know he was going to be shooting sim rounds. So we're getting shot with sim rounds trying to find our person. And it was a fun time for sure. And I want to do some more of that.
Induce stress. That's awesome.
Yeah.
They're still sitting in the chairs. So.
Are the guys gone?
No, they're still sitting in them.
But is the tent people gone?
Yeah.
Okay, so the chairs are here. They did not get taken.
Okay.
We'll work it out.
Yeah, I'll just talk to Andrew. It's fine. Somebody just needs to bring him to Eric, and we'll see what happens. I don't know if he'll even notice that 8 chairs or 12 chairs are gone, but yeah. Just don't know if he needs them for another wedding or something. It's the wedding month in Tennessee right now. Everybody's getting married. In fact, you know Dixie from Homemade Wanderlust?
Yes.
She's getting married this weekend.
In Tennessee?
No, in her hometown, but yeah.
Just been living in sin. Doesn't she have she has kids with him, right?
No, he has a child from a previous marriage. She doesn't have any kids.
I saw some posts the other day from her.
Yeah. Yep. Yesterday she posted, can somebody describe what Bridezilla is like? Asking for a friend. She had an interesting thing where her heart, she was out on a trail. Did you see that? And her heart started going into an issue and she had to be life flighted out. Like they came and got her she was in the middle of just nowhere. And she didn't know that when she bought, because she had this, like, if you press the button on this thing, they come to that location and get you. She didn't know when she bought it, it came with insurance to cover. So she ended up only owing like $20,000 or $10,000 rather than like the whole bill of having a helicopter come in and get you.
So she had like an EPIRB or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was, she's okay, but that was an interesting lesson from the hiking standpoint.
Wow. So Carter Lee, I don't know why you didn't take rabbits home. But also, Jose might not be aware, but Florida actually probably has rabbits. You guys can just go get locally. Somebody probably has some rabbits. 8 Bear Adventure, what's up, man? Bob, I see you're on here. Hello.
Okay, Jason.
Yes.
Tell us why you think it's so hard to get remodelers / contractors to follow through. I'm curious about this because you're somebody who, like, you say you're going to do the work, you show up, you do the work, and all of that. Why is that so hard in the industry?
I think some of them hit a big lick and they're like, "Oh, I've got $10,000," and then they just lay out and get drunk for a month or something. I know a lot of guys do that. Part of the guys that will do the work and show up when they're supposed to are the ones that everybody's calling, and they're so stinking busy that the other guys are like, man, I wish I could find a job. I wished I had this, and I wished I had that. And it's like, if you would, when you started your business, if you would have shown up and do quality work, you would be in with us to where you're not having to look for work. I mean, I don't know. People don't want to work as part of it. So that, or they come in and do sketchy work, and then the person finds out, you know, hey, my shower's leaking and everything else. And they're like, I wished I wouldn't have hired that guy.
Especially when the shower's upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also there's a huge influx of money into everywhere. And dudes, especially a couple of years ago, guys sold those East Coast, West Coast homes way over value, came into a low income area, bought a bunch of property. So they find the guys that are good, and they're like, how much to show up? And he says, you know, I can start next year. He's like, how much to start right now? And those guys have money, and they'll pay the good performance people. They'll pay them way above what the market value used to be.
Yeah.
So Scully, they have multiple families have moved in here, their families. They fly guys in from California. Like, we can't get local dudes to do real stand-up jobs, like, you know, full-on buildings and stuff. So they bring a crew in out of San Diego, put them in hotels for 30 days and do what they need done.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I just don't understand that mindset of why, well, first, why people want to do all the shoddy work, and then why they want to hit a $5,000 lick and then lay out for 2 or 3 weeks and get drunk all the time. I was like, keep building and going.
Well, it's just on a bigger scale, man. You know, I assume you're in the construction trade. You have a construction company or something. Yeah, it's just like hiring general labor, man, especially concrete and framers. They get a lick also every Friday, and then they go party. And you know the chemicals that come with that. So they're definitely not showing up Monday, Tuesday.
Oh yeah. And that's why I quit doing concrete work. Because when we first started, we were just a concrete contractor, and you got a bunch of drunks and drug heads. And, you know, you set up 100-yard pour and 4 or 5 year guys don't show up. You're like, man, we're up a creek right now, and you just kill yourself doing it. So I switched over to general contracting. So we do mostly kitchen and bathroom remodels is what I really like doing. And that's kind of been my bread and butter. I can do it. Generally, I work by myself. I've got a couple guys. If I need some help, I can call them. They'll come in and work for me. And but we do the majority of the work. I mean, I do the majority of the work. If we come in to do a bathroom for you, I'll demo, do the tile, do the hardwood or any kind of flooring work, paint, trim, all that stuff. The only thing I don't do is the plumbing and electric, just because licensing stuff. I know how to do all of it, but the government says you have to have this little piece of paper for it to be inspected and everything else. But
that's so they can get taxes and fines from multiple avenues, right? We couldn't just find the one guy. We have the same thing. We can do $1 million a month in sales, but I can't build $1 million of product a month. That's how it's always been here.
Yeah. And the percentage wise, I don't do as much volume as I did when I was doing concrete work, but my percentage of what I take home is so much bigger because I don't have all these guys paying payroll and everything. And just like I wanted to come down, I came down Thursday afternoon to your place, John. I didn't have to worry about what 5 or 6 guys were going to do on Friday. I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm going to take the day off and go.
The government says allowed versus able. That's right, Backwoods. Don Gorham, why is your account posting as Facebook user?
You have to enable it to say who you are on Facebook some special way on the live stream. I don't know why, but yeah, that's so we never know on Facebook unless they've taken the extra step through the streaming system.
Got it.
But at least she let us know who she was. She's like, pop it in real quick, catching up. Yeah, I have no clue.
Talk. My wife has always wanted a milk cow, and I thought it was impossible, but Dawn opened my eyes a little bit on her talk about I never knew what the heck you do with all the milk. And think about feeding it to your other livestock. That's perfect.
So that's what Joel Salatin said. He said, man, you have a perfect place for a milk cow right here. You could do a beef or a milk cow. And Amanda says, I want a milk cow. And I said, you should probably go milk Don's cow for a couple weeks first, because I'm not milking a cow.
Get a milking machine.
Nah, I'm not getting a damn milk cow. I can get milk from Dawn.
I had a Jersey, and we gave up on that. I'm like, forget it. The juice was not worth the squeeze for me on it, and I sold her, and it's probably one of the best things I did. I'm like, I don't want to mess with it every day.
I can make way more money on zebras.
Yeah.
Dawn makes it seem like having a puppy. It's a really big puppy, though.
Yeah.
Because she enjoys it. She really does like doing that, it seems.
Yeah, I like making cheese, and I want a milk cow so I can make cheese, but I don't want the milk cow part of the milk cow. I just want the milk.
Yeah, you can just.
So Dawn needs to move next door to me so I can make the cheese.
Maybe Dawn didn't succeed the way she did with everyone like she did with me, but I thought it was. She has some persuading still to do with the rest of you, I guess.
I got goats thinking I was going to milk those, Evan, and then I realized I was going to have to milk them every day at the same time, and now I have pet goats.
Yeah, we had 3 goats. That turned into 26 goats. Lance milked goats once, put the milk in mason jars in the freezer. They popped, and we never used any milk.
Yeah,
I've had 2 goats here, and I swear I will never have another goat on this property.
Hell no. Yeah. I laugh when people are like, do you have goats? Okay, apparently you've never had goats.
Oh, yeah. Well, my wife found this like super purebred kind of goat. It was a show goat. Then it was this lady way down in Tennessee. She was like, we're moving to Montana and we can't take everything. She found this goat for like $50. And I mean, it was a pretty goat. You could lead it around and everything. It was nice to everybody but me. I would turn my back and it would headbutt me. And I'm like, no. So one day when everybody was at work, that goat got sold to somebody that it was going to a real nice home, and these people were going to love it. So
yep. I'd have killed the goat too.
Everybody came home and there's like, "Where's Brownie?" I was like, "Brownie got bought by this real nice lady." So
Smith and Wesson.
Did they try to go visit Brownie?
No, I was like, I don't know the lady's name, her phone number. She messaged me on Facebook.
Her name was Smith and Wesson. I haven't said.
Yeah, but no more goats. I enjoy the sheep. Out of everything we've got, the sheep are what I enjoy the most.
I have milk so I can eat cereal.
Yeah.
And I don't eat much cereal,
I
but I
don't
do
eat
eat a lot
cereal.
of steak. I eat steak.
Yeah.
Why do you like sheep so much? What's great about them?
Sheep are so much easier on fence. Goats the goats will ride the fence down, everything else. They're easy to take care of. And Evan, you've got young kids. You can have your sheep and you don't hear of somebody getting mobbed and, stampeded by sheep or anything. Okay. So, you hear people all the time, well, I got kicked by a horse and it broke my collarbone. I was in the hospital and all this. Yeah. I mean, Evan, you can take your kids out there with the sheep and they can run along and have a good time. And you got my ram's probably 200 pounds, somewhere around there. And he's scared of people. I only touch him if I've got to do something medically for him. And so he's scared of people. So he just stays away from me. And my 8-year-old goes down there and heck, he knows how to catch lambs. He'll sneak up behind the lamb and grab a hold of its back leg. And he's like, Dad, I caught this one. So he's standing there with a lamb bucking and everything else, but he's never been hurt. And he's been down there since he was born messing around with the lambs, and they're safe. The only bad thing about sheep is sometimes you'll go down there and you just got a dead sheep and you don't know why. I've had that happen a couple times.
So we got sheep from Dr. Barry, and he says, just bring a trailer. We'll just catch them. So I assume Doc Barry probably had caught some sheep.
Yeah.
And we showed up, and I don't think Doc Barry ever caught any sheep, and neither had we. So it took about an hour or so. We got some good video catching sheep. There's some pictures of us like Superman in the air trying to catch these sheep. But our sheep they're not aggressive at all, like you said. Whereas the goats, if you turn your back on a goat, a billy goat will, hit you. And we always had multiple billy goats. Now we only have one ram. So I don't know if they do the ram up and hit the head thing like the goats do. But we've only got one ram, and they're very docile. And we have one little female gets out, and she's super excited when we're driving over to wherever we have that pen at the time. And she does that deer thing. She'll start kind of hopping, and then she does the thing with both feet in the air at the same time. And that's when you know they're like super happy. But I mean, it's cute to see every day.
Oh yeah, I take mine. That new area that we've got, the neighbor's place. I put a gate in, and I stretch 2 strands of electric wire. It has no electricity on it whatsoever, and I walk them across the driveway every morning, bring them back in. And those things, if they see a blue bucket, they will mob you because I feed them out of a blue bucket when I give them some grain. But yeah, they would follow me all along the highway as long as I rattled that blue bucket. And they're just super docile and nice.
How many you got?
We've got a dozen right now.
Yeah.
And then I've got a Hereford cow. She just had a she had a bull calf about 2 months ago. And we bought her. She was 2 days old on a bottle. So she's a bottle fed cow. And she can go out. I can go out in the field, take a grass string, tie it around her neck, and literally hold it with my thumb and small finger and lead her wherever I want to go. And yeah, well, she got out one day and she was standing in the front yard, and her name's Ginger. And I hollered at her. I was like, Ginger, I said, get your ass back in the fence now. And she looked at me like, oh, crap, I did something wrong. And she went and got back in the fence and stayed in there the rest of the day. I'm like, this works.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't put up with mean animals at the house. If they're mean, they get put in the freezer.
That's the one thing with sheep is if you get a ram who wants to charge and hit you with their head, that's pretty dangerous. And those have to go. We ate ours that did that because he was a menace.
The biggest problem we've had with our sheep, the first ram we had, he was a registered Katahdin, and he was a big, beefy ram. He threw babies that were too big for our ewes because my ewes are a little bit smaller. We had a 15-pound baby that I had to pull. And I mean, a 15-pound lamb is a monster lamb. So I had to pull it. The baby died. I thought the mom was going to die too, but she made a recovery. And I sold that ram to a guy that had a bunch of Dorpers. And your Dorpers are a lot bigger bodied sheep. And he's happy with it. So now, our ram he throws about a 6 to a 7 pound baby. And they all, no problems, birthing, nothing. I mean, you walk down there in the morning and you're like, hey, I've got 2 more lambs.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the biggest issue.
When did you get your ram, John?
Same time. We got them all at the same time from Doc Berry. He had just bought a bunch of them from somewhere. And we bought them a couple days after he brought them home.
And how old are they now?
I don't have a clue. Over a year.
Have you had any babies yet?
Yeah, she had a baby this winter, and it disappeared, and it was in the pond. We found it floating in the pond. I thought it was a possum, and when we pulled it out, it was a little lamb.
Yeah.
They look fat right now. I think they're pregnant. I don't even know when
they're
sheep
probably
have
pregnant.
babies.
Yeah.
All of mine are pregnant right now.
Yeah, we'll lock them into a large, shed or something.
Mine get lopsided on one side is usually how you can tell when they're pregnant.
And then the udder appears.
Yep. A few days before they're going to lamb, it's like, boom, that udder just pops.
Exactly.
And we leave our ram in year round with the ewes because I'm like, I don't want to separate him. It's a pain in the butt doing it. So sometimes we get little surprise babies that you come out one day and you're like, hey, I didn't know you were pregnant.
Well, hello.
Yeah.
Those are tougher.
Yeah.
They'll be more durable stock,
Oh yeah. And we've had them out there. I mean, it's been snowing, cold as can be, and the mom takes care of it and no problems whatsoever. And then you have some where it's a day like this and the stupid things die on you. So it's kind of a toss up.
Yeah, we separated our rams from our ladies so that we would not have sheep born in the middle of coldest part of the winter, but they're going to come back together, I think, next week. And yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully we'll have some spring babies, but we got a good number this year off of 3 girls. We got 2 litters. I don't know what the right word is, like 2 cycles off of one and then 1 off the other. So we got I think we got 6 or 7 this year.
All right.
So Yeah.
And we got 3 ram lambs we're gonna put in the freezer. Once it gets cold, we'll start butchering and putting those in the freezer.
So Jason, do you ever outsource your butchering, or do you always do it all on site?
We did when we first got into it and started butchering our own stuff. I ran one beef. We had somebody else butcher, but after that, we butcher pretty much everything on property here. We did 5 pigs last year for ourselves. We put 5 pigs in the freezer. We did a beef last year. This year we're looking at doing 2 pigs. There's no beef in the rotation right now, but we'll put those 3 lambs in, and then we'll have a bunch of chickens to put in the freezer. But yeah, generally everything that we raise here, we butcher ourselves, and it's taken a little while to get set up to do it, but it's nice. I mean, you know how the animal was treated, you know what it ate, and you know it had one bad day essentially. And we've got several people. Shelly always comes down to help butcher, and then I can call some of the other guys that I've taught how to do it, and we can knock a pig out pretty stinking quick. So, because we did, me and one guy did 4 pigs. We ended up killing 4 pigs, skinning them, gutting, and then just blocking them out, the hams, the shoulders, and the ribs, and we blocked all those out in one morning. Had 4 of them done and stuck them all in the cooler and let them set till the next day, where people could come over and we showed them all the different cuts and how to cut it up, make the sausage, and do all that.
Yep. I still just buy the half or whole cow right now. I don't really want to add cattle to our homestead. So
it's a lot. I mean, and cows will tear up more fence, and they're harder on fence and stuff like that. And then plus, really, to butcher a beef, you really need to let it hang, and you got to have a real good spot to let it hang. And that's what I'm lacking right now, is a nice spot to do it.
How long do you want to?
Oh, go ahead.
How long do you want to let it hang for?
I like 14 days is a good time.
And that has to be in a refrigerator?
Yeah, it needs to be in a refrigerated area with air circulating around it. We're working on something now. You can do your primals and stuff. Like you can cut you can cut it up into your primals and then use a smaller space to hang it. I'm going to modify one of my coolers I've got to where we can hang quarters of beef and let it set for 14 days and then come back and cut it that way.
So you have a walk-in?
No, we've got essentially kind of what you've got like in your kitchen, those coolers. I've got one of those, and we'll do it. And we pretty much, if we're going to age anything, we'll age it in that. Like your pigs, but your pigs, you don't age your pigs. You cut that thing up that day, and it doesn't need to age. But the beef, I'm going to, hopefully by the next time we do a beef, we might have a walk-in if I can swing it. Being backwoods talked about a walk-in. So
we're planning to build one here.
I don't want to take up my shop space because I work in my shop. So what I'm thinking about is doing an 8x8 and essentially building it with pallet forks where I can slide my pallet forks in and pick it up and set it on the side of the shop. And then when it's time to use it, I can take the Bobcat and move it wherever I want to, bring it closer to the shop and plug it in and do it that way. And then you don't lose any shop space.
Yep. You can put on a trailer. I mean, they've got portables too.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and Backwoods talked about it. What did somebody want to know what we wanted? I saw that.
Yeah.
question.
So here was a question from David. What method do you use to dispatch hogs?
I use a 22, and that's 99% of the time that gets it done. We had a big boar at Shelly's house that he was 500 plus pounds. I used a 5.56 with it, and he did not want to go down. And anytime we do a beef, we usually use a 5.56 on it, just because it's a bigger animal and it takes a little bit more. But 90% of the time or better, a 22 right in the forehead does it for a pig.
Here's another question. Why 14 days?
That's what everybody has said is 14 days. I'm not. The beef that we sent off to the butcher, I asked him, I'm like, how long do you usually let them hang? He said, usually we'll do, he said, anywhere between 7 and 14 days is when we'll do it. And I'm like, let's do it for 14. supposedly it breaks down more and it ages more. I mean, you see the high end steak places, they're like, this is, 30-day dry aged beef kind of thing. I think after a certain time, it doesn't do anything. And everybody I've talked to, the 14 days is kind of the magic spot that people like.
So, CoolBot, you can totally do CoolBot, and you could use the CoolBot to control a mini split. If I was building one right now, that's what I would do. All our mini splits are sit on the ground. I would not set my mini splits on the ground. I would hang them on the side of the building so that when we need to move anything or push anything, it's all attached so that you don't have to disconnect line sets or anything and unpressurize that stuff. There's all kinds. If you're interested in like a walk-in cooler, just search Marketplace. You can buy the walls. You can pour them on concrete. You can put foam down with wood floor. There's a ton of ways. A lot of them actually latch together. So they're, basically like I think they're 8x8 panel. So you could do an 8x16. You could scale that. If you have delivery service like a Cisco or US Foods, you can have a door on the outside where the delivery driver has access, can push through, but not access the inside. Man, there's so much you can do. You can buy a used one that doesn't run and then just run the CoolBot thing yourself. There's a ton of ways to do them.
Oh yeah. And I've seen some people I know have them, they built them, and I'm like, this is awesome. And it's nothing that's out of my wheelhouse where I can't build it. I'm like, it's just finding the time. And if I really, really need one right now.
Holy cow. We've made it. Over 10 Windexes here.
Wow.
Is there anything against just doing it when it's cold? If it gets cold enough, can you just blow fans in a covered area, or how does that work?
You can. You don't want the meat to freeze, so you don't want. You've got to have that 15-degree mark. Okay. Yeah, to where it doesn't. And you know how the temperatures is. The temperature does sometimes. It'll be hot during the day and then cold at night and stuff like that. So it's kind of it's better to get it to where you can have a controlled environment all the time.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I aged my venison for 7 days in my fridge in quarters, and the difference between that and just straight into the freezer is a huge flavor improvement.
Yeah. A homestead consultant says capture the condensate water from the mini split. Hey, I've heard people say that there's like heavy metals and stuff, not to use that like off of window units and such. I've never looked into that. Is that in fact clean water? Is there any concern with that? I know every place we have a mini split around here, we've got a lot of stuff growing in the gravel under it very well.
I don't know if there is or not. My dad would take his and he had it collect in a bucket, and he would pour it on flowers and everything else, and the flowers looked amazing. It never killed it.
Good.
I'm trying to figure out where the heavy metals would be coming from.
Man, I thought I heard that somewhere. I really thought I heard it on Jack's show years and years ago. But yeah, every place we had like a window unit, there was always great vegetation underneath that thing.
Yeah, it's off the evaporator. It's no more polluted than cooking in a metal pan.
Good.
But I capture it off my trailer. I run my whole business out of this enclosed trailer with the mini split, and it'll fill a 5-gallon bucket. On a summer day, it'll fill that sucker in a couple days.
Oh, yeah.
But if you don't have any water, that's sure nice.
Yeah, or use it for flushing if nothing else.
Yep.
Okay, thoughts on root cellars? Pointless, or do you use them?
Modern Day Civilian is a YouTube channel that popped up a couple months ago, and he's doing awesome content. There's nothing long form out there. I see a lot of these guys starting new channels. They do that before they release their stuff. He took an 8-inch culvert, metal culvert, buried it in the side of a hill. An 8-inch spool for cable happens to be 8.5 feet, so it caps the end really well. He made it awesome. I mean, it was so cool. Like, we started looking around on Marketplace for an 8-inch, and you can actually find them. An 8-foot pipe and 8.5-foot spools seem to be readily available. You should check it out. I mean, if you don't have refrigeration, I mean, it's a great way to go, especially if you ever need to be able to cool things without.
Is that cold enough to be a hanging space, or it's not quite cold enough? What, like 45, 50?
In the winter, it would be.
Yeah.
It would probably not be here.
Yeah.
cold
You'll be
enough.
salt curing stuff with that, I guess.
A lot of the time, though, I mean, if we come to the place where we have to do that ourselves, we probably ain't doing cattle at that point.
Right. And you're not worried
Or-
about the dry aged date.
Yeah.
They do still
Yeah.
taste good,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
this tastes better.
Yeah.
I've been using a space that's not an ideal root cellar as a root cellar for 16 years, or actually, I guess probably 13 of my last 16 years. And it's a garage space that's mostly underground. And what I found is I can overwinter potatoes into March, apples into February, butternut squash goes all the way. Like I've had some that are a year and a half old that are still fine. So if I had a proper root cellar, I imagine I could extend that out. And then I've learned like not to put my onions with my potatoes and that sort of thing. Root cellars are great. I would love to dig a hole, like pointing out my window over there, and have a proper root cellar with the venting and all of that, because I could extend it so much better.
You've got the great place. You got a great place for it, Nicole. You're set up 100%. Tag, I would love to see your root cellar set up as well. And if nothing else, it'd be great content to build.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're actually, I don't know who was saying something. I think you were saying something about turning off power for 5 days to learn what you need to do. I can't remember where this, I thought that came from John.
I tell everybody that. Just don't even tell your spouse. Just turn it off.
So I think we're going to turn off the power for 5 days and run everything.
Well, I think you've seen the power off for 5 days.
I know, but we're just going to do that this fall. I'm like, let's do the 5-day challenge, no power, and see what happens.
Plus where you live, it'll probably just go off for 5 days.
Maybe.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That'd be good content.
But there are weaknesses in our system, and that's actually a really great way to pressure test it. And it's not like I can't turn it back on if it's not working right. I can fail the challenge, I guess.
100%. Plus, you've put so many systems in place over the last year for that.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's happening after Jack's. And I'm not turning off power to my roasting shack during Christmas roasting season. So let's just be real here. I will still roast and ship orders.
However, if you want Christmas roasting, you should probably plan ahead of time and order it right now, because Nicole gets super busy.
I get really busy. My sales are up 30% the first 2 weeks of October, which tells me we have just like 30% over this October last year.
Yep. So guys, she's getting, the word is out there, so do not wait.
What kind of power requirements does a roaster have?
I pull a full 70 amps. Like they tested from the pole with my roaster on, because they had to increase the size of the transformer on the pole.
Wow.
All right,
and the guy was like, no, it doesn't. Go turn that on. And I hear him yell, it really does.
That's a pretty good draw there.
That's a lot of power.
Yeah.
Then I want 80 then, if Nicole's got 70.
Yeah. And it was just because when I put in the roaster, it's on a totally separate system from my house. I would turn the roaster on and the lights in my house would dim. And I'm like, well, I call the power company. I'm like, well, I feel like since it's a totally separate system and it's not sharing a line at all, it's like got its own line, like everything. I feel like that's probably not right. Yeah. And so, yeah, it wasn't right. The Beagle family on YouTube apparently has the best root cellar setup according to Jokerless. Good to know.
Yeah, I'll check that out. But you're not like allowed versus able. You can totally bury a shipping container, but if you put any dirt on top of it, they collapse. Like even walking on them, they bow. The structural is the beams on top, and especially the corners. If you bury one of those things, it collapses. Like you could totally put a container in the ground. You're gonna lose it though. So you have to put an offset. You've got to put gravel. By the time you do it, you could do it cheaper in concrete. Like there's not a cash savings to doing a container in the ground properly.
Oh yeah. I mean, all the overkill you got to do to keep that thing from caving in.
Yeah, you might as well just pour in place, man.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you don't have the concrete forms for doing that stuff and you want to do it yourself, get 12-inch concrete block and lay the block. There's no special tools to lay the concrete block. And then you can come back and core fill those. And then you've essentially got a 12-inch solid wall.
Yeah.
Or hire Jason to do it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like the cost savings where dudes think they're going to bury a container, it's cheaper to just build it out of block first. Put concrete slab in, put it on gravel, have some backfill on the sides because you're going to need a bilge pump over there. Some wheat. You need gravel in there so it'll piss out.
Yeah, we got a question here. What's new in the radio world? Anything new and approved or setups? I feel like that's for Evan.
I don't know. You guys know. Yeah, I'm playing with a lot of digital stuff these days. I'm working on ways to send data, text data between radios off grid. So I have some products coming in that world. Turnkey setups that you can hand to grandma and say, send me a message. So I'm working on stuff like that. It's a lot easier than voice. You can get stuff in high noise environments or poor signal quality environments, long range, like cross continental type communication, all over radio. So
I only use Motorola MX300s and Sabres. Mine say ST3 on them or Buds. And I'm launching my own micro satellite. So we're good.
It's not mesh. No, I'm not talking about mesh. I'm talking about radio, like RF, VHF, UHF, or HF.
Concrete root cellars on the short list. Whatever Bob builds is going to be badass. And I'm sure, what ICF, what does that stand for? Something.
Insulated concrete form.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, I've been redoing my pump house in ICF because it needs something.
That's another one like concrete block. You can do it yourself. All you need is a little hand saw, and some spray foam. You don't need to be strong. It's lightweight, and then call the concrete truck.
I just have Drac print me Legos.
Yeah.
And eventually we'll have enough to build something out of.
We need to get that guy back out. He's fun.
He's fascinating.
So Drac bought 10 acres of property somewhere in Florida, and he's like, I got my compound, John. And he was showing me the blueprints. He has a concrete hexagon building that's a concrete,
of course, like
poured in place and tilt up kind of thing. It's badass.
Hexagon is like nature's strongest shape, right?
So
with the beehives.
I don't know, but people don't realize he does. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. He does a lot of stuff for George Lucas Studios and all the Star Wars stuff. That's where a lot of that comes from.
I heard nothing, John. I heard nothing. Insulated concrete form, super easy.
I can totally picture him right now too. He's smiling. He's like, super easy
for tag.
For tag.
And you're brilliant.
Yeah, he likes to point that out.
For tag. Well, tag has a good community.
He does. Yeah.
Well, how many people in the comments are sad they did not go to Self-Reliance Festival? I'm just wondering, did anybody miss it and kind of regret that they didn't do what it took to get out there? TJ said yesterday he was guided to SRF by the Almighty Father. I can't think of a stronger endorsement than that. Hope to see you all in April. It was so awesome to walk into the factory and see those guys on Sunday. It totally made my day.
There is a magic to that. Like, whenever he comes, I'm like, hey, you got some shit to say? He's like, yeah, I can come up. I got something. We did probably, 2.5 hours that it will go up. And then there was another good hour off camera that happened in here. We're going to do I jokingly said we should do like a tent revival. So there's something in the works. I don't know when it will be announced or how large it will be, but we're going to do something for sure.
Okay, I got a couple people who are sad they didn't go. And here's the thing, guys. Kentucky's not that far from Camden, and they have the Kentucky Sustainable Living Expo in 2 weeks. Jason, tell them how to find out about that.
The easiest way is our website, KentuckySustainableLiving.com. And it's kind of like Bear says, if you can't spell that, you've opted out and not coming. So, like he says, it says independent. If you can't spell independent, you've opted out of being with us.
He does give you both spellings, though.
Yeah. But yeah, it's KentuckySustainableLiving.com. All the information is on the website. We're fine tuning our schedule this afternoon and the schedule of speakers and everything going on. will be posted. And yeah, like Chuck said, come take Chuck's class. Chuck is doing a full 8-hour homestead medical class, and it's going to be an awesome class. I mean, it's well worth coming. He did a 2-day class here at my place for us, and it was amazing. So, but yeah, the website, everything's on the website. All our speakers, it'll be there. We've got tons of vendors, like I said before. If you can't find something with the vendors, there's probably something wrong with you as a person.
Yeah, Bob said sad I couldn't be in the studio, both tents at the same time. Yeah. You can.
Well, Bob,
you can get the digital pass, Bob. I'll hook you up.
Well, Bob, it was important to me that you were where you were, buddy.
Yeah, Bob was great. He brought a whole recording rig and set it up so people could use it, and they did. They did. Evan, are you going to Kentucky Sustainable Living?
I booked a class right on top of it before its inception. Unfortunately, I'll be in Dahlonega, Georgia. So if you're not going there, if you can't spell sustainable, spell radio made easy or radios made easy, and come to my class in Georgia.
Would you like me to get your class canceled?
No,
I can call in I can't say that, can I?
No.
How we used to get out of high school.
Right.
Yeah.
Pull the fire alarm.
Yeah.
I like teaching my classes. Please no. I'll be there next time though, Jason, for sure.
All right, good. Yeah, Backwoods said he was coming to the next one. So.
Yep. We'll be talking all about that. Cool. Now Angie wants to know who's still high from this last weekend. I've been like on fire this morning when I was supposed to be taking the morning off, like following up with people. So I'm totally on fire after this weekend, even though I'm tired. I'm sure John's still tired.
Man, I'm running in 100 directions. I went in and out of that gate probably 20 times today because I forgot something. I'd go out to get one thing, bring something else back. Shit, it took me 2 hours to outside this morning. And then Joel Salatin's like, you need wood mulch. So I moved 10 loads of wood mulch just to be ahead of it. So,
like, see, Joel, I did it. All right, well, let's go once around the horn and wrap up. Let's start with you, Evan. What do you got?
If you want to find me, radiomadeeasy.com. I'm training all over, looking for class hosts for 2024. Buy radios and let me know what you need.
Tactical, what am I saying? Tactical response. SOE Tactical Gear.com or anything else. I do a live every night at 9:00. We jump on. We can have any conversation you want to have. Unless you're a weirdo, we'll just kind of ignore you. We do a t-shirt every Monday. We do a new shirt. I don't know. You guys can find me if you don't know by now.
I'm Nicole Sauce, and you can find all of my stuff at NicoleSauce.com. And John is right. It is time to start thinking about ordering your Hollow Roast Christmas coffee. That's all over at HollowRoast.com. Jason, let's wrap up with you.
I'm Jason with Kentucky Sustainable Living. Our website is KentuckySustainableLiving.com. I've also got a YouTube channel. It's Kentucky Sustainable Living. I'm on Instagram and TikTok also under the same thing.
And what's the most important thing going on for Kentucky Sustainable Living right now?
The most important thing for the festival, the biggest thing, honestly, we got a Vets for Child Rescue charity dinner. Is going to be Saturday night. All the proceeds for the dinner are going to go to that. We've still got tickets available for it. We want to raise $10,000 is the goal. And Forrest, that runs Vets for Child Rescue, told us if we got $10,000, they would come to Kentucky and do one of their operations for us. So that's the big thing. And we've still got tickets. It's Saturday night.
All right, guys, give Jason some support, and we will see you next week.
Awesome.